Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh,
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, pulling out your most seductive foreplay for a specialty ice cream flavor. This is Trevin.
And I am Amanda. Of course you would.
Oh my God, I had a peanut butter half-baked the other day, let me tell you.
You ice cream slut.
It's so true.
So, Trevin.
Yes.
What is your dreadful dilemma?
It's so fun the more our show goes because we can tie back to other dilemmas and be like, it's almost like I grew from that one.
Yes.
We've talked about it multiple times throughout the show that you and I have partners that are pranksters.
Oh, do we ever?
They're these silly little shithead pranksters and they like to play their tricks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I experienced for the first time, I don't know what to call it. Maybe these need to have a name or maybe it has a name, but I experienced almost an opposite prank. Because of their actions, it forced people like you and I to almost reverse prank them. I was getting ready to get in bed, and generally, I don't know how many times Emily will do this, where she rolls over and grabs my phone and then rolls over and puts it somewhere else real quick, and then acts like she's asleep.
Oh,
and then I'm just like,
God.
did I misplace my phone? Like, what the hell? So she would do that kind of stuff sometimes. Or she'll do like a quick thing where she'll like hide it in her bra or something, and I'm like, where the hell did my phone go? And I'm sure Jordan probably does similar things. I was actually going to bed a little bit after her, so I couldn't tell if she was actually asleep or not. I thought I put my phone on the bed, and I was like brushing my teeth and getting myself ready, and I came back and I'm like, where the hell's my phone? But because of a kind of cry wolf sort of situation, I was like, I'm always getting pranked all the time by this woman. So I like got in her face while she was kind of half awake, and I'm like, where the hell's my phone? And she's like, huh? She's not a very good waker, so she's not like that aware. And I started doing that thing where like I was putting my hands like under her body and just like trying to feel for it. And she's like uncomfortably like this. And she said, I'm going to punch you in the face. Just trying to figure out where it was. And I still had been gaslit so many times with these damn pranks that I was like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
But then I walked out in the living room and realized that when I went to roll my back before bed, I had taken my phone out of my pocket.
Oh, no.
It was my fault. But what is cool about it is I usually feel too guilty to prank people because I don't want to make people's lives uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because I don't like how I feel uncomfortable from pranks sometimes. So I don't ever get her back, really. But because of the way I'm always on edge, I had to actually put her through an uncomfortable situation too. Not as a prank. And even afterwards, I said, like, I'm not sorry. The only reason why this happened is because
you do it all the time.
Yeah, because of this shit. Have you ever been through a situation where you thought you were pranked or were going to get pranked and you like were on the offensive towards Jordan first?
Yes, 100%. I have multiple times.
And you weren't even being pranked?
No.
Yep.
And I don't feel sorry either because I'm like, well, this is just how you've groomed me to know you.
Yeah.
How else should I know you? I can't know you as someone who's serious and trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
I tell him this all the time. I'm like, I know they're silly pranks, but like my trust for you is not that high as like I trust him with like serious stuff. Mm-hmm. But like daily things that he'll just say,
yeah.
I never believe him. It actually did happen the other day. This is so funny. I just now remembered it. We were driving in the car and we were talking about flamingos. And he's like, did you know, fun fact, that flamingos, they actually start off as like a white or gray, but because of the shrimp that they eat, they turn pink. And I was like, yeah, right. You need to fact check yourself. I was like, don't just say weird shit to our kids like that. And then I Googled it because he's like, no, seriously, I really did see that somewhere. And I Googled it and it was true.
Yep.
But I was like, yeah. maybe I'm a little sorry immediately, but like not really though, because you're constantly saying bullshit.
Yeah, you're always spewing bullshit and setting me up for weird pranks.
So I'm like, you can't just say random things to our kids because they were like, oh, really? That's fascinating. I didn't want them to be duped too, which he does dupe them sometimes too.
Yeah.
Anyway, it turns out that is a real fact about flamingos, and I'm not sorry about it.
Yeah.
Just a little bitter.
Yeah, it's just like, I never get even with you, so it's almost better that my form of getting even with you isn't in the form of a prank, because I don't really want to add to it. But it's just like, you have to understand that you caused this in me, and I got to push it on you for once.
Yes.
I'm too guilty of a person and too like polite. Like I would never have been like, and like fucked with her while trying to sleep.
Yeah.
But because I thought she had my phone, I did.
I wish I could say the same. I love fucking with Jordan all the time, even when he doesn't ask for it.
Yeah, you're less polite than I am.
Yes, I am.
You're more brat.
Yes, I am. You're more demure. So, Trevin, I have a dreadful dilemma. And it's an embarrassing parent dilemma that happened to me recently. You know our good friend Sarah?
Yes.
With the pink hair?
Oh, that's Sarah.
Yes, that's Sarah. I know there's multiple Sarahs that we know and love, but good friend of both of ours. She also works at my daughter's martial arts place that she goes to. That was just to give you guys a little backstory. So recently, Lila has made it to the next level where she was able to stop going to the real, like, beginner learning baby, class to the big kid class.
So Sarah doesn't teach her anymore?
No. She still does.
Oh, that's good.
She still gets to see her, all the same instructors. Everything is good and dandy.
Great.
Should have been anyway. The one thing, though, that was a big shift is that they actually like chant something at the beginning of class together, which the little kid class was really cute. And it was like honesty in the heart, like to make good friends and like cute little chants, right? But in the big kid class, it was a brand new chant. So God forbid that happened. And Lila just totally didn't have a lot of confidence in herself. And because she didn't know the chant with the rest of the big kids, she cried and got off the mat.
Oh, wow.
That's very unlike her, but it really, really affected her. So
they didn't do like a learning thing with the newbie kids?
Well, and they actually handled it beautifully because they even said, Lila, you're new in class. You're not going to know this yet. And they even made an announcement like, we have a new, student. You don't have to say this part, like,
oh, that's
blah,
nice.
blah, blah. And they went above and beyond all of her instructors to make her feel good. They even sent us home later with the words printed so we could practice it. Anyway, she came off the mat and I made her stay just to watch the whole class, but she didn't end up wanting to go back out.
At all?
I tried everything, Trevin.
Whoa.
And this was the beginning of the class till the end. So anyway, then the blizzard happened. Then the holidays, like a bunch of stuff happened where we didn't go for a while. And we practiced the words at home. And it was our first night back. And this time I was like, Jordan, don't you make me do this alone. That was so hard the first time. So he came, Winnie came, her little sister, we all came. And we get there. Our friend Sarah is like, oh, hey. And she knew that Lila had been struggling and was feeling
Discouraged?
Yeah, discouraged and embarrassed, all the feels when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so she was like, hey, did you know that this month is actually Friends and Family Month? And your friends and family can do classes with you for free this month. So if one of your parents wants to go out on the mat with you today and do class, maybe you'd want someone to go out there to make you feel a little more confident. I immediately... Trust me, I was grateful for Sarah. Shout out if you're listening, Sarah. Was grateful. But I immediately knew this girl's going to pick mom.
You did a karate class? Are there pictures and videos?
There's pictures, yes. So
oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, hell, what have I got myself into? But I sucked it up. I was like, yep, I will go on the mat with her. Took off my shoes and socks. I bowed right in with all the kids. Even one of the kids turned and looked at me and was like, what? You're a grown-up. What are you doing here? It was like So
Wow.
embarrassing. You know, I don't get embarrassed a lot, but lately these.
Did you run off the mat crying?
I sobbed because I didn't know the chant. No. What happened, thankfully, is that I didn't have to do the whole class.
Too bad.
I bowed in. I went in there with her. I started to do the warm up. And let me tell you, that warm up was actually pretty damn hard.
Yeah.
I had to balance on one foot, and then I had to bounce around in a circle on one foot.
Oh.
And I did it. Jordan got pictures, and I'll freaking post them. Huh.
Score.
Then eventually, after we did all the warm-up stretches, I looked at her and I said, you got this? You're going to be good? And I bowed off the mat, and she finished it. And ever since, Trevin, she actually has been begging us to go every day. Every day. She's like, can I go to karate now? Can I go?
Whoa.
Because she's like more secure, and she likes that there's other girls in this class, and I don't know.
Isn't that nice? We all do it in different ways in our lives, but yeah, when you're scared of something or you screw something up and you feel really bad about it, you let it build up for a long time if you don't get back to it. But just that feeling of relief when you do finally, like, it's not as big of a deal as I thought.
Yes, totally that. I do want to give Sarah some credit too. At the end of class, she came up and was like, sorry, I put you on the spot. I just thought maybe it would get her to go out there, and I'm so glad it worked. And she did. And I was like, yeah, you little shit. Like, I didn't say that because she's working, but I'm like, oh, you little shit. Yeah, I did. But it was fine. I only had to do the warm up. It's totally fine.
Yeah, if she didn't clear it up before and you're sitting here thinking, do I have an hour of this? Well, do you hear that sound? It sounds like Fast Florida.
Coming in hot.
This week's Fast Florida I've got for us, it's a very short one. It has to do with minors, and I think that's one reason why I have a lot of information about like what happened to the kids afterwards. But coming from fox4now.com, 2 Hendry County high schools go too far with senior pranks. LaBelle Senior High School students managed to send an email addressed to all faculty, staff, and students about a, quote, mandatory penis inspection.
Say what?
Quote, it was something funny, but at the same time, it was something scary, said Kenneth Carrion, a parent who lives in LaBelle. Carrion says he found the humor in it, but he says it's something serious too. Quote, you get some high schoolers hacking into the system. Think about it. What are we doing wrong for security? The LaBelle High Dean of Students did send an email to parents apologizing for the prank, but exactly how the students pulled it off is something the district is still looking into.
When you first said mining, I thought you meant in the coal mines, first of all.
Yeah, I don't know enough about miners to really tell a good story about mining, guys.
Then it took the penis turn, and now I'm grasping. Okay.
The reason why the headline said 2 Hendry schools is because another one in the article caused like $20,000 in damage by like spray painting a bunch of stuff. That one I didn't care as much about. I just really thought that the mandatory penis inspection thing was funny. But yeah, there wasn't that much information on it. But what a fun and problematic thing to do.
I'm picturing myself as a parent receiving that email.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, say what? Just
Yep.
like I did, but like, I'm speechless.
You see it on the school letterhead, mandatory penis inspection, like with the stamp of approval.
I mean, thank goodness my girls wouldn't have to participate in that. But still,
Yeah.
I would definitely clutch my pearls if I saw that.
And you're an open-minded person who, even if it was a joke, you'd be like, no, yeah, that's a funny joke. I don't mind. But even you would have been taken aback pretty quick. And I think a normal person out there would have been way worse.
Oh, wow. And did it say what they got charged with or punished by or anything at all? No. Okay.
No.
So that would be hard to cover.
I think the story would have been good if I would have had a little bit of information behind it. And even maybe just the motive would have been cool. But yeah, there was just not enough for a full story.
Yeah.
I also had another one that I was between that was almost too fast for Fast Florida, but he had like hit a bunch of meth in his belly button.
Oh, wow.
And I just thought, yuck.
I love this one. I think this was a perfect Fast Florida.
Thank you.
And so now, Trevin, can we do a Florida-based 2 truths and a lie?
I believe we can. And in the spirit of the Fast Florida thing, I think I said it maybe last episode. The reason why I call it Fast Florida is just because the Daytona 500 is in Florida. So I want to give 2 truths and a lie about NASCAR.
Oh, Lord. I know nothing about this topic. Okay.
Statement number 1. NASCAR driver Richard Petty boycotted Tom Cruise's racing movie, Days of Thunder, for inaccurate representation. Statement 2. A Daytona 500 racer once taped their eyes open in order to see through facial swelling sustained in a wreck the week prior. Or statement number 3. A NASCAR driver once faked a car issue mid-race, jumped out on the back stretch, and escaped on foot to avoid being arrested.
Whew. All of that just sounds so brutal. That's probably why I don't like NASCAR, I guess.
I would never have thought of it as a brutal sport, though, myself.
I guess it is, though. I think I'm going to go with statement 3 as the lie.
And you are incorrect.
No!
The lie was actually statement number 1. NASCAR driver Richard Petty did not boycott Tom Cruise's racing movie Days of Thunder. A lot of people do say that it's a little excessive and pretty unrealistic, and they laugh at it for not being a very serious NASCAR movie, but nobody boycotted it, or at least Richard Petty didn't.
But he has the last name Petty.
I know. That was probably one reason why I went with that.
Yeah. I just thought that we were all on the same team.
Yeah.
I guess not.
Us Petty's got to stick together. The one that you thought was the lie about the fake car issue, which honestly could be a story, and I may do it one day.
Whew.
So coming from the Bleacher Report article, a sit down with Jim Vandiver, a true pioneer of NASCAR. Jim Vandiver is best known for an unforgettable escape at the 1973 Southern 500 in Darlington, South Carolina. Leading up to the race, Vandiver had unknowingly landed in legal trouble. He had picked up his 10-year-old son without realizing his ex-wife hadn't approved, leading her to file custody papers against him. When he was ordered to appear in court on the Friday before the race, his lawyer assured him not to worry, as he needed to be on the track. Unfortunately, the judge disagreed and held Vandiver in contempt of court, sending 2 deputies to arrest him on race day. The officers informed NASCAR official Barney Wallace of their plan to take Vandiver into custody after the race, but a crew member, Neil Castle, overheard the conversation and warned Vandiver. With this in mind, Vandiver spent much of the race strategizing his escape. Quote, "My car was running terrible," Vandiver recalled, blaming the distributor. Finally, he made his move. As he sped down the front stretch, he waved bye to his brother, who was his crew chief, then spun his car on the back stretch, causing a caution. As the field slowed, he jumped out, ran across the track, and climbed over the wall. Incredibly, he found a conveniently cut hole in the chain link fence, quote, "like someone knew I was coming," which allowed him to slip out and onto the road undetected. From there, Vandiver hitchhiked back to Monroe, North Carolina, where his car owner gave him a ride home. Later that evening, he called the Darlington garage, reaching one of his crew members, who asked in disbelief, "Where in the world are you?" Vandiver's response delivered with a grin, "At home, drinking an ice cold beer."
Oh my God. Now that's a race I want to watch.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So that one was true. And then as for the other one, the racer who had to tape his eyes open.
I don't want that to be true, but I was like, yeah, I could see it.
This is for the race car driver named Ricky Rudd. This is from his Wikipedia page. Rudd was involved in a horrific crash in the Busch Clash at Daytona, in which his car went airborne in a crash that Ned Jarrett described as something like, quote, "a bucking horse." Before suffering a concussion and torn cartilage in his rib cage, his eyes were swollen so badly he taped his eyes open to be able to race in the Daytona 500, as well as a flak jacket for his rib injury. After learning of this long after the fact, NASCAR instituted the policy of examining all drivers involved in wrecks to ensure that they will be able to race safely the next week.
They're like, say what now? You had to tape your floppy ass, swollen ass eyelid up? Nah, we can't be doing this again.
Like this Mr. Potato Head looking guy with like tape, and he's just like, "Yeah, I think I can do it."
I'm fine, put me in, coach.
Like Frankenstein.
Sometimes it's okay to take a day off.
Yeah, I know they do that with NFL players and stuff with concussions, but like you're operating a motor vehicle at like 180 miles per hour. If you were diagnosed with a concussion, I would think they would be really cautious about that.
I'm glad they seem to think it's serious now.
Yeah, there was always a before time, you know, before a rule was made, I guess.
Well, I also have 2 truths and a lie, Trevin. Mine is a little more a big idea of Florida facts, okay, and statements. And not just focused on one Florida thing like yours. So this is just my Florida 2 truths and a lie. Statement number 1. There has never been dinosaur bones found in Florida. Statement number 2. The most lightning strikes in the U.S. occurs in Florida. And statement number 3. Florida houses the most serial killers out of all other U.S. states.
That's a tricky one.
So dino bones never were there, the most lightning strikes, or the most serial killers.
I would like to think that the dinosaur bone ones is true, so then there can be like some sort of mythical thing as to why Florida is so Florida. So I'm going to say that's true. I'm going to say that the serial killer ones 3 is false.
Congratulations, Trevin! I did not think you were going to get that. I put that one in there on purpose to distract you.
I'm sure that's probably got a lot of criminals, but I don't think serial killers.
Whew. So let me tell you what's going on here. So statement number 1 is true. Florida is just one of the U.S. states without dino bones in it because Florida was underwater during the Mesozoic era where dinosaurs lived.
Tell me dinosaurs' bones can't still go in the water and get down there?
Certainly not, I guess. There's a lot of other states too, and they're not all ones by big bodies of water, like in the middle. So it's kind of weird which states haven't had any. Statement number 2 is also true. There's a Finnish company, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, but Vaisala, and they track lightning strikes globally. So the area from Fort Lauderdale to Miami has the most total lightning of any metro area in the U.S., having 120,998 flashes in the year of 2023. However, Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela has the most lightning strikes in the whole world.
That's cool.
But Florida takes the cake. That exact little area has the most lightning in the world. So please do not hold on to a large metal pole.
No.
If you're in that area.
When we were in Daytona, we got to see that big storm, and that was pretty cool. I think a Florida storm's way cooler than a Missouri storm.
It rains so much that I guess it makes sense that with the rain would come the lightning, but...
Yeah, and you can kind of just see it come and go.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, statement number 3 is the lie. And I got this information from crimecapsule.com, which was actually pretty fascinating to look through it. But it had analyzed FBI data showing the top 3 states for housing serial killers, okay? So, number 3 is Florida. They're still in the top 3, but there are 2 other states that house more. Can you guess either one?
Kansas.
Okay, what about number 2?
California.
Oh my God, so unfortunately you didn't get this thing right. Why would you say Kansas? Just because of BTK? Is that
Leavenworth,
why?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true, Leavenworth.
Are you talking like in jail housing or like where they just assume they are
Oh,
out?
no. Sorry. When I say they housed, just means they reside in that area.
And they're free and they know they live there?
Like, oh, this serial killer was from Florida or lived in Florida or whatever.
Okay.
I think is what they did. But no, not like in jail, before they were in jail.
In that case, I understand that I got California wrong.
Well, let me tell you. Number 2 is the state of Nevada. And number 1 is in Alaska.
Oh, I think I did hear something about Alaska and serial killers.
Yes, very common place for serial killers to chill out at, I guess.
It's such a cool, eerie place.
It's isolated. It's cold for that moody, broody asshole to go move.
I could see myself being moody, broody in Alaska.
Well, to maybe improve your mood a little bit, let's get you some ads.
And welcome back to the story side of the show.
I love this time of year.
Isn't it so nice? There for a while we were doing the guest thing.
Yeah.
And that felt weird to do it back to back so many times.
Right. It's like, people.
It's like, do we even tell stories anymore? And then now we are, and we're getting our groove back.
I love it. Yes, our Florida groove.
I know. And what better way to do it than with Florida?
Yep.
So this week I'm telling a Florida story from the news. And I kind of go back to, I don't want to say our roots. I want to say I go back to the basics of what makes a crime. And I want to focus on a very important part that takes place in almost all of our crimes. But I just want to talk about it.
Okay.
So let's slide on down that droopy dong of Florida. And here we go. We cover a lot of stories about criminals getting caught. And let's face it, the best ones have a moment where everything goes wrong. A forgotten cell phone, a typo on forged documents, or a criminal returning to the scene of the crime to ask the victim out.
I stole your purse, but you stole my heart.
These are blunders that make a story unforgettable. Without them, it's just another case of petty theft, breaking and entering, or a forged death certificate. Getting caught is often the punchline in these stories, a moment where a fatal character flaw turns an everyday criminal into an unforgettable one. It's the third act intervention of karma or carelessness that ties everything together. But what we don't see as often is a story where the magic doesn't lie in how they got caught, but in what happened next. Sure, we've had a few, like the failed field sobriety test that turned into an interpretive dance, or the over-the-top brawls that break out when police get involved. But these reactionary meltdowns are a rare breed in the petty crime world. Today, I bring you a Florida woman who takes her petty antics beyond the crime itself, proving that sometimes it's not just what you do that defines you, but how you handle getting caught. The peaceful hum of distant conversations fills the air, each one unintelligible to passers-by. Mothers lean over blue-handled carts, ensuring their toddlers don't squish the bread, while custodial staff perform their choreographed dance, appearing in hallways, only to vanish without a trace of themselves, or that used condom that was lying in the aisle moments ago. Everyone moved along without impeding each other, stocking their carts with affordable clothes, electronics, and breakfast meats. It was a typical Wednesday morning at the Bradenton, Florida Walmart, and when the crowd is this chill, the place truly lives up to the name, Superstore. There was a kindness in the air, a small crowd gathering at an odd hour, all in the name of avoiding bigger crowds later. The whole place felt more respectful, even to the point where confrontations were downright pleasant.
Hey!
Sorry, I'm still drunk from last night.
Me too. Have a great day, sir.
But among these happy consumers lurked someone who didn't belong, a wolf in off-brand clothing, eyeing the AM Walmart crowd, not for the low prices and extra shoulder room, but for the opportunity to commit a crime. Myra slowly pushed her cart through the various departments of Walmart, tossing any items of interest inside. She made her way down the candy aisle, inspecting the many types of Dove chocolates, then scoffing at the price.
When did candy get so damn expensive?
She spoke aloud, before shrugging and tossing a bag into her cart. While the price of these delicious morsels was possibly the most offensive thing Myra had ever seen, it ultimately didn't matter. She knew that, despite everything in her cart, she had no intention of paying for any of it. As her flats clacked against the ugly brown flooring, Myra reflected on her storied career as a Walmart shoplifter. She'd cut her teeth pocketing lipstick at age 8, working her way up to boosting thongs in her teens. Over the years, she'd stashed plenty of stolen goods between her butt cheeks.
Ooh.
But like those items, she was ready to leave her life of crime behind her. Today was her victory lap, one last hurrah to kick the habit for good, like one of those 90s televised shopping spree winners. But to make it special, this wasn't going to be a simple job like slipping a wrench set in her bra or stuffing a hoagie in her handbag. For her grand finale, she was going to fill up a cart with anything she wanted and walk right out the front door. She surveyed her cart, full of random items and little treats, sure to satisfy her criminal cravings for at least a little while. A job this big had never been pulled off in her time, but her plan was simple: drugs. Myra could still feel the lump in the back of her throat from earlier when she dry swallowed that random pill. No label, just something she found on her bathroom sink, wedged between her shaver attachments and a pile of loose hair. She figured a game of pill roulette might be fun for her last job, maybe even granting her the side effect of legal immunity. Remembering she really needed a spare bar stool for her brunch nook, Myra swung by home furnishings and grabbed the closest match to her set at home.
That's it.
Myra exclaimed to herself, running through her mental checklist.
Chocolates, mop heads, light bulbs, warheads, matching his and her pajama sets, frozen waffles, assorted colors of construction paper, and one bar stool.
Comfortable with her haul, Myra steered her cart toward the exit, puffed out her chest, and began her confident march toward destiny. The automatic doors gleamed ahead, just beyond a towering display of gas grills stacked like sentinels at the entrance. With each step, she built momentum, ready to weave past the grills, push her loot through the doors, and stride straight to freedom.
Excuse me, miss. Are you planning on paying for all of that?
Myra stopped dead in her tracks. Her plan had been simple: tune out the world and pick up speed if anyone looked suspicious. But that voice, it was too stupid to ignore. Now stuck in the awkward purgatory between the entrance and the registers, Myra considered her options. The self-important employee stood with his hand on his radio, a glorified tattletale with an inflated sense of purpose. He didn't look very fast, and the cute old doorman greeter, he didn't stand a chance either.
Have a lovely day,
The longer she stood frozen, the further her stolen goods felt from ever making it home. She pictured the empty spot in her kitchen where the bar stool would go, the bag of Dove chocolates she might never taste again thanks to their outrageous price hikes. After all the successful shoplifts, free merchandise, and legendary getaways she'd pulled off, it couldn't end like this.
Ma'am, please pay for your items, or I'll have no choice but to radio loss prevention.
The man's shrill voice cut through Myra's powder keg of emotions, igniting the dormant rage that had been swirling within her. In one swift motion, Myra grabbed the bar stool from her cart and swung it into the chest of the Muppet-voiced employee. He collapsed in pain, bawling and reaching for his radio.
Code 69! There's a mean lady up front!
The Walmart security alarm blared as loss prevention officers began pouring from every clothes rack, aisle, and men's room. With enemies closing in from all directions and escape now a matter of survival, Myra locked eyes on her one path to freedom, the towering display of gas grills by the entrance. She had no plan, just instinct, and instinct told her it was time to cook. With a powerful heave, Myra sent the gas grill display toppling over. The once mighty tower of outdoor cooking appliances crashed to the ground in a symphony of metal and shattered packaging. Shoppers and employees scattered as Myra made her break for the exit. She may have escaped Walmart's walls, but she hadn't outrun her problems, trading blue-vested loss prevention officers for pistol-wielding police. Squad cars lined the parking lot, their lights flashing, with more sirens wailing in the distance. There wasn't a grill display big enough to distract this much heat. Her cart abandoned, her haul lost, Myra was left with nothing but a swirl of regret, frustration, and whatever side effects her mystery pill had yet to reveal. With her cause defeated, the only thing left for her to cause was a scene. Myra screamed into the air, shoving an abandoned shopping cart into a parked car before ramming another into the cart return, sending a chain reaction of metal-on-metal collisions through the lot. It was also absurd. What was she even doing? Throwing tantrums in parking lots wasn't going to solve anything. But in that moment, it was all she had. With police closing in, she turned to find the loss prevention officers, fresh from the grill debacle, standing right behind her.
Save money, live better, my ass,
She muttered, rolling up her sleeves and stepping toward the lead officer. What followed wasn't so much a fight as it was a series of wildly thrown punches, awkward dodges, and desperate spits at anyone who got too close. The longer it dragged on, the more Myra realized she was running out of both energy and saliva. In a last-ditch effort, she yanked out her phone and hurled it like a ninja star at an approaching cop, missing entirely, before being tackled by 3 officers at once. For a moment, all that could be seen was a blur of limbs, a cartoon dust cloud of kicks and elbows before it settled. And there she was, just another Florida woman in handcuffs. As they dragged her, grunting and spitting, towards the back of the police cruiser, Myra thought about the empty spot at her brunch nook where her bar stool should have been, now a weapon in her fight for freedom. It all seemed so clear now, her actions laid bare in the cold grasp of handcuffs. But if asked to do it all over again for the thrill of a 90s-style shopping spree, something in the foam coming from her mouth suggested she might just be willing to do it again. On May 29th, 2011, 22-year-old Myra S. Mays was arrested at a Walmart in Bradenton, Florida, after attempting to leave with a cart full of unpaid items. When confronted, Mays grabbed a bar stool from her cart and swung it at an employee before knocking over a gas grill display, causing over $1,000 in damage. She then fled into the parking lot, overturning shopping carts and smashing them into parked cars. During the incident, Mays punched and spit on Walmart employees, even throwing her cell phone at an approaching officer. It took 3 officers to subdue her, and after she broke free in the squad car, she was placed in more restrictive cuffs and leg restraints. Police discovered marijuana in her pocketbook, and Myra later claimed to have swallowed, quote, an unspecified pill before shopping. She was arrested on charges of aggravated assault, petite theft, battery on a law enforcement officer, assault on an officer, resisting arrest, criminal mischief, possession of marijuana, possession of drug paraphernalia, trespassing, resisting a retail merchant in the recovery of property, and 3 counts of battery. No further details on her punishment were made public. Getting caught stirs up a lot of emotions. It's like a secret about you has been shouted to the world, a secret about a less than savory part of yourself that you hope no one ever notices. It makes you want to do anything to resist the truth, but in the end, you just end up looking like a crazy person spitting on people at Walmart. If this story teaches you anything beyond the sheer determination of a Florida woman, it's that getting caught comes in many forms. There are respectful ways to be taken in for disrespectful acts, and you can even throw in a little resistance for dramatic flair. But if you do get caught committing a crime, try not to commit an even worse crime by throwing a tantrum. Because nobody wants to be the weirdest person in Walmart.
It has been quite some time since we have told a Walmart story.
I know. And just like an action story. Because I've actually held on to this one way before Florida February was a thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, not sure I was ready to write an action story. But there's just so much crashing and fighting. And
I guess maybe my Black Friday one was Walmart, but still, some time has passed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I understand there have been many times, and I'm sure we all feel this way, where you're like, I just want to pop a random pill and go ape shit in a Walmart, but you just don't do it because you have some self-control.
Mm-hmm. Usually that's a thing you think about but don't act on.
Yes, it's almost like Myra just let all her inner thoughts win this time.
Uh-huh.
Each and every time where she had the angel on her shoulder, she listened to the devil.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not worth it because you get a lot of charges like that.
Yeah, that line, I had to stop and take a breath.
That's a lot of charges for sure.
I don't know if her plan really was just to walk out the front door. There's not a lot of articles.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 2 now. I feel like there was more over the years, but it's from 2011. And I think some of those websites have been dying over the years.
Yes.
But still have 2. And it does seem like she just tried to walk out the front door and somebody tried to stop her. I don't know why she tried to walk out the door with a cart full of stuff and one being a bar stool. All the other stuff was made up too, by the way. All they explained was that it was a cart full of stuff and a bar stool was one of them.
Stool. Okay, because yeah, she did actually use the bar stool as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Whoo! First of all, you should never do that. That is so naughty. Even if the person has the voice that Trevin made them out to have.
Yeah, and there's no videos or surveillance or anything. All of this is from my imagination, and I also don't know if the guy had a Muppet voice.
Yeah, it did make it a little more, I don't know, it was easier for us to digest.
Yeah, it was easier for me to think of somebody having a bar stool swung at them.
Right, like
funny.
they've got to have a Muppet voice, right? At least that. Like, come on. So thank you for helping us in that department. But hot diggity damn, yeah, that's just a full-blown temper tantrum over being caught for something naughty. An adult, an unhinged adult.
Throwing it into people's cars. I don't even know what I would do if I was shopping, and if I witnessed it, I'd be recording it. But it's got to be a whole other level of scary when you're watching somebody freak out like that and pushing carts into cars, thinking like, I could be collateral damage in here if I don't watch out.
Yeah, I would be a little startled, to say the least. Even just the other day, I was taking Winnie to our grocery store up here, and there was a guy out there just shouting random, like he was like, the government is like crazy and fucking sucks, and like just yelling and I was like, should I just go home? Like, I agree.
Yeah, you're just like, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, like I agree, but you're making me a little nervous just shouting at all of us, you know?
Yeah.
And he even looked at me and was like, they don't care about your kids. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know. It was kind of weird.
How dare you, sir?
Anyway, I think I would be very startled if someone was doing bodily harm along with the shouting and the spitting. Yeah,
I think we've done a story, and maybe somebody can point this out to me. It was so much deja vu for me because I swear we had I think it's the same story where it happened, where a woman that I had you act as went crazy, was spitting on people.
Yeah.
And then I believe I wrote a line where it was like, nothing can contain me, because then she got out of the cuffs and then had to be put in leg restraints too.
Yes.
Yeah, it was really bugging me because I was like, I know I haven't written this story before.
Yeah, no, you haven't. Funny, because I had a lot of deja vu scenarios running through my head when I wrote today's story. Completely different, but still, I was like, ooh, this is reminiscent.
Are we living in a prequel right now?
Maybe.
You know, you see a Star Wars prequel and it's like, what's his name? It's like, Han. What's his last name? Solo, I guess. And you're just like, oh, that's how that big thing happened? Except
exactly.
This was like our best episode we've ever made. And we just know that it's about to go out there. So we're actually living in the build up to it.
Wow. Are we in the Matrix? I don't know.
I just watched the SNL documentary episode where they explained the whole history of the cowbell episode. And maybe that's why I'm thinking like that.
Okay.
That's such a build up. They didn't know what they had until they put it out.
You're going to have to help me. Other than the reminiscent feelings I got while writing this one, I'm really drawing a blank on connections.
Oof. Well, luckily I wrote most of this morning, so it's super fresh.
It's fresh in your mind, so please step in if you have one. for my story today, I had way too much creative freedom with this one.
That's scary. Am I doing a voice on it?
Yes, you are. You know you are, Trevin. So I just want to prepare everyone for that. I had a lot of fun with characters in this one. And here we go. People from all over travel to Florida for many types of tourism. Most journey to the Sunshine State for the lovely beaches, or to fangirl over Mickey Mouse at Disney World.
Give me your autograph, Mickey!
Yet, some tourists simply make the trip down south to golf with friendly retired folk.
Nice backswing.
I know Florida catches a lot of grief from the rest of the United States, but it really does possess something for everyone who enters, and those lucky enough to leave. Today's cautionary and criminal story will make you consider the activities you would do on a Florida vacay, and the ones you should avoid if you want to make it out in one piece. It was a normal, muggy Florida day in the spring of 2024. Although summer had yet to begin, the sun, humidity, and bugs made themselves comfortable in the flooded grasslands of the Everglades National Park. It was a serene view, a mixture of glassy water reflecting the blue sky and plant varieties living peacefully half submerged. A man stood at the edge of the land before it turned to marsh. He examined his surroundings as beautiful, yet he knew what dangers lurked beneath the surface. He hadn't earned the nickname Gator Gary for no reason. There were many experiences in his life that included gators. As a young baby, his parents were stunned to find him cuddling a baby croc in his crib. Instead of taking a date to prom, he brought a ravishing reptile. Even now, as a young adult, he surrounded himself with gators, both professionally and socially. Gator Gary loved being a tour guide for Coopertown airboat rides. He loved zooming boats through the endless Everglades, meeting tourists from all over the world, and, of course, hanging with his favorite scaly homies. It really was the ideal profession for Gary. On this particular day, there was a full schedule of tours ahead of him. He refueled his airboat and his tummy before he happily awaited the first group of passengers. Gator Gary held the shoulder straps of his camouflage waders and smiled, seeing his first guest. She was a gorgeous young woman, wearing shoes completely inappropriate for the day's activities, but Gary didn't mind. His eyes worked his way up her toned legs, chest, and finally to her bright smile. Only, his joy was swiftly taken after the babe turned and kissed the wrinkled lips of a much older gentleman that came with her. Regardless, he gave them a Gator Gary greeting.
Hello!
But was ignored as the couple stepped into the airboat. Slapped back to reality, he looked behind the bombshell to see the other passengers. 4 middle-aged adults were walking behind the odd couple, and Gary could see they all had similar features of blonde locks, wide grins, and crooked noses. They were also sporting matching t-shirts with the phrase, "Reunited, and it feels so good," on them.
What do we have here? A family reunion of sorts?
Gator Gary questioned in a festive tone.
You could definitely say that. We discovered that our father was a major whore and had multiple secret families. But the silver lining is we found each other through 23andMe.
The oldest of the long-lost siblings blurted out.
Wowee! Well, watch your step, siblings. My name's Gator Gary, and I'll be your tour guide today. Looks like we have 3 more passengers making their way over now.
He turned to greet an elderly couple ambling toward the dock at an extremely slow pace. Eventually, they arrived and explained the reason for their visit.
It's our 60th wedding anniversary.
The devoted-ass wife said proudly.
Well, congratulations. What's more romantic than spotting a gator out on the marsh? Let me help you aboard.
Gary said as he assisted the couple. The last passenger was a lone wolf type of guy, wearing all black and staring blankly without emotion. Gary and the strange man nodded politely at each other after awkward eye contact, and with that, the boat was full.
Welcome to Coopertown Airboat Rides. And as I said earlier, I'm Gator Gary and will be your guide. A fun fact about the Florida Everglades, it is one of the few places where alligators and crocodiles share a habitat. Both of them swimming like besties beneath us.
Gary started up the loud engine of the boat and began rapidly accelerating through the shallow water.
Now, gators rarely hunt humans, but they can attack if they feel threatened. These large predators should be respected. It is important that we keep all limbs inside the water vehicle. Does anyone have any questions?
Gary asked in a serious tone.
What's the largest an alligator can get?
The excited sibling from earlier asked, ignoring all the safety concerns mentioned.
Funny you should ask that question, as it is one of the fun facts I know. The largest alligator measured was 15 feet, 9 inches long.
Gary splashed aggressively through the calm water, rocking the boat back and forth as he spoke.
Gator Man!
Gary was stunned that the babe halfway remembered his name.
Yes, little lady?
Can you slow the fuck down, please?
The gorgeous girl shouted back with pursed lips.
Certainly, ma'am. Just excited to show all the gators out here this fine day.
Gary explained, trying to charm his way out of his reckless driving. He slowed the boat as they approached a few crocodiles swimming nearby. Pointing them out caused the passengers to ooh and ah. All of them, that is, besides the unimpressed loner in all black. Gary felt like maybe he was gaining the crowd's approval back. He just needed to keep things slow and steady for the remainder of the trip. He gradually accelerated to continue on when he saw a jumbo gator climbing into a rock to the left of them.
Hold on, y'all! There's a big old gator over yonder! Let me turn us around real quick and go see it.
Gator Gary said eagerly, flooring the gas pedal and whipping the steering wheel to the left. Immediately, the passengers felt uneasy with the prompt turn, but as soon as the airboat began to tilt on its side, the uneasiness turned to sheer panic.
I didn't want to die like this!
The old and devoted wife shouted as she clutched onto her husband of 60 years.
I'm so glad we have each other in this moment!
The oldest sibling tried to find the silver lining of the traumatic situation they found themselves in.
What the fuck is wrong with this driver?
The hot babe still managed to offend Gary. The boat then officially flipped on its side, knocking all 10 people on board into the gator-infested and murky water. On Friday, March 29th, 2024, an unnamed boat operator from Coopertown Airboat Rides in the Florida Everglades accidentally flipped a boat on one of the afternoon tours. According to witnesses and passengers, the operator turned the boat abruptly to show them a gator, knocking the boat and all 10 passengers over and into the dangerous water. One of the passengers, Jose Maldonado, told 7 News, quote,
All of a sudden, the captain wanted to make a U-turn, sort of on the water so we could get better picture of the crocodile, and the boat just flipped on its side. We were all in the water and we were all screaming because the alligator was right there.
It was also reported that the boat passengers tried to flip the boat back upright, but it was too heavy to budge. Luckily, they didn't remain in the water for long. Some passengers stood on the side of the boat, and around 15 minutes later, another boat approached. The driver of the private boat was a man named David Gonzalez, who had plenty of room on board to rescue the soaking wet travelers. Authorities never released the name of the boat's operator or the punishments given, only that he was taken to jail for having neither proof of completion of a boating safety course nor a captain's license issued by the U.S. Coast Guard. The tour shut down for the rest of the day, so employees could tow the boat back to the dock and clean up the spilled fuel. Fortunately, no one was seriously hurt in the incident. Fire rescue crews rendered aid to 1 passenger, but they didn't need to transport anyone to the hospital. For those traveling to Florida, I suggest choosing your excursions carefully. If not, you could end up in some murky waters. Find yourself a qualified navigator. so you don't find yourself in need of a litigator.
Okay, that's a good pun. I saw you winding up for the first one. I'm like, well, how are you going to follow that one up? Litigator.
Litigator and navigator.
That's a good
Gators
one.
all the way, baby. I wish I had more information, but that's fine. We're used to this. There is a video, like I told you, where you can see the driver. He looks to be a young man wearing camo, waders, dark hair, beard, but we don't know his name.
So what happens in the video that you have? Does it show the thing flip?
It shows the boat flipped on its side. We don't see a video of it actually flipping that I have found so far. It's just the photos of the boat on its side, but there are videos of passengers standing in the water next to the sideways boat trying to get out and being rescued into the other boat. Ugh. And then there's just videos of the driver with his hands cuffed behind him being put into a cop car, but we don't know his name. I had too much fun making up each and every character. Clearly, there's video and interviews with real people who were on the boat, but I was like, let's just have some fun with this. I didn't include Jose, who was actually on the boat. I just wanted to have fun with characters, which it made me reminiscent of the story that I told of my bus driver who accidentally ingested the gummies and how I got to create all the characters in the back.
Oh, yeah, because they were annoyed with him and he was high.
Yes. That's really all I had to say about that. I really wanted to tell a gator story, and I've never been on one of those airboats, but I thought that would be the perfect place for a crime to take place.
Ugh. Ever since being a kid, seeing Lake Placid, I have always had a healthy fear of alligators. There's just something about their funny little arms walk. It's like, it's creepy.
Very much so.
And I think I went to maybe it was the Nebraska Zoo somewhere. It was like a dark zoo-ish alligator room or something where the floor looks kind of scary and dockish. It looks like you're walking on a dock around gators and bridges and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And I remember being very scared of that. So I am quite scared of alligators. And if I were those people, like those stories, especially in the 90s where people are just like, oh, I sued for distress, even though it was like, I think you were just milking to take advantage.
Yes.
In this situation, I think I would.
No, that would be literal distress.
Yeah, I'd be screaming the entire time. Just, I'd be like, guys, calm down. Like, like there could be a gator right under me right now.
Yeah. Like you are going into the thick of it, the place that they clearly go to because there are lots of gators to see. Luckily, the water is shallow, like it was mainly coming up to people's waists. Mm-hmm.
But there could still be one under the water coming toward you.
No, I know. I know. It's murky. You're in the Everglades. There's plant life everywhere. Mm-hmm. I would be scared shitless. I'm so glad there were no minors on the boat.
Yeah.
No little kids. Could you fucking imagine that?
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, I would lose my shit. Whoo, I would lose my shit.
I mean, they seem like they would be kind of easy to overturn.
Maybe, because I've never done one of these, and now after the story, probably don't ever need to. But maybe you do have to be a certain age, now that I'm thinking about it, to even get on one of the boats, maybe?
It could be. I mean, there's not a lot of safety rails and stuff.
Totally.
Probably not room for a car seat either.
I would probably say no, yeah. But any connections? Can you think of anything?
So I was thinking it is just too bad that this wasn't last week's episode story, because I even said, as my clown going to the airport saw an overturned airboat like on the way out of the city.
Right. Oh, that's so true.
I was just trying to be so Florida heavy on that one. This one was a little less Florida heavy, as I just focused on somebody being very Florida woman.
Exactly.
I guess my woman did overturn carts.
Oh, and gas grills, right?
She knocked over the Tower of Grills, but they did actually say that she shoved carts in the cars and she overturned shopping carts.
Oh, wow. So flipping shit. Flipping shit is a great connection.
And in a sense, she really flipped some shit figuratively and literally. So
yeah, flipping out.
Okay, yeah, flipping shit. I'm into it.
I'm into it too.
If there are better ones though, listeners, do let us know, because I'm having a hard time.
Same. But I like that connection, and I thought that was just so quintessential Florida, the Everglades, like a very well-known thing about them. And this story was perfect with enough information and then a little bit of room for me to get creative with it. So
for sure. And just such a scary moment to actually be in.
So scary. Like, no.
Yeah. Oof.
Well, I just hope that everyone is having the best week. And remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to tape our eyelids open and drive, baby.
Bye.
See ya.
I'm not sure that I'll be joining my daughter's martial arts class anytime soon, but you all should join our Patreon. We've got bonus content, ad-free episodes, movie nights, and more.
And have you ever gone to a gator place for a Florida vacation? Send us a picture of you with one of those slimy devils. Find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads. Live, Laugh, Larceny.
And have you ever just lost your shit in a Walmart? If so, send us your petty crime story. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And rate our show better than people rate Tom Cruise's Days of Thunder. Give us 5 stars wherever you rate podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods. That takes place in almost all of our crimes, but I just want to talk about it. So, let's, Yikes.
Could you imagine if we were like doing this live? People be like, Trevin, you glitched out. Is my computer frozen?